We're here at Sandman's office, and he is going to show us how to grub screw this assa 700, one of mine. Actually, a really good reason to do this is because actually when we were getting this thing, it almost bricked just trying to take it apart.
Yep.
So if you go through this process, I know Lady Locks did a video recently of talking about doing this and kind of walk through the tools needed. So we won't go ahead and cover those, but we'll go ahead and show you actually how to go through the process one more time.
Yeah, so I just want to talk about real quick. So assa 700, it's a 7-pin. It has a bunch of gin spools. It's high security lock, black belt lock. The problem is, though, if you take a look at this plug, it's got a really big gap right here. And if I'm not careful when I'm gutting this, it is possible to get the driver pin stuck in this little gap here or in here. And it makes it kind of funky trying to gut this thing. If I was smart, I should have turned this here at this angle, but it's just goofy. I think it's possible to even get some of the gin spools stuck in here. I don't remember, but the trick to get around that for gutting is you can take these shims right here and you can insert the shim to try to bridge that gap. And that's what we initially did as we were about to gut this, just for this process of adding grub screws or set screws. But even in the process of trying to add this, and I couldn't get it in all the way, it kept getting stuck because the tolerances was just so tight. Actually, I probably got it stuck on this second lip right here. And as I was pulling this plug out, it actually almost bricked. But I was able to get out. We got lucky. We're not going to make that same mistake twice. What we're going to do is we're going to remove these top brass pins right here, because this is how it was installed at the factory. They install all the pins with a machine, and then they insert these little brass pins right here. And we're just going to knock those guys out. We're going to tap them with a tap right here, and we're going to add some screws, or some little grub screws. So what do you need to be able to do this? So let me set this over here so I don't lose anything. All you need to do is you need to gut your lock. And to gut your lock, you are going to need a shim of some sort. It needs to be thin. And I know I'm not going to recommend you use foil, and I'm not going to recommend you use a Coke can. I've heard people being able to use like the little sensors whenever you go to like JCPenney and there's like a sensor on your clothes. Supposedly you can take apart those sensors and the little metal in there can be used. Just buy these things. You can get like a package of these for like $5. You're going to need that just to gut the 700. The next thing you're going to do to gut the 700, you're going to need some type of spanner wrench like this, and I think that's what it's called, but you're going to need to be able to span this the C-clip apart just to be able to take the plug out. Then you're going to be able to do that. Alternatively, there are some people like Hazardous Manufacturing and a couple other people that make these little 3D things. I think 44 Delta might offer these, so you can replace this with this, so that way it's quick removable for your video for gutting. But the next thing you're going to do is you're going to decide if you are going to add grub screws. Are you going to drill out these pin stacks, or are you going to hammer them through with a punch? I prefer to hammer them through with a punch. Some purists, however, will tell you, no, you should drill them out and then you should tap them because you are deforming the pin stacks when you hammer them out with a punch. I disagree. I don't think I deformed them. They pick just fine, and that's that. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use a piece of leather to put inside the jaws of my bench vise so I don't mar the beautiful chrome on my assa 700 here. And then I'm going to use just any type of hammer will do. I'm using a brass hammer here to push the punch through. And then I'm going to thread it. And this particular thread, I don't know, something on Amazon. I'll send links to Yabbo of all of the products that I have purchased here. I have these taped off with blue and red because I want to be able to count how many threads I do. I don't want to get lost count. I want to be able to do the exact same depth for all of them. Typically going to be like 3.5 to 4 twists. And so the thread that I'm using is actually a 6x32 Bosch tap and drill combo here. And so a 6x32, and it also uses a number 36 drill bit. So if you wanted to use the drill bit, you can, but I promise you it's a headache. Don't even do that. And while we are tapping it, we are going to be using a lubricant, so that way we are, it just goes, that way we're not tempering our die here. We want to be able to use this for multiple locks moving forward. And then we're going to use what I suspect would be, I don't know, is this a 6x32 or whatever? I don't know what the inner size is on these, but these are our grub screws. These are taps. Like I said, I'll be sure to give all this information to Yabbo, and we'll provide the description, links to the description, links to the product in the description down below. That's what we'll do. So now that we have gutted our lock, barely gutted our lock without breaking it, we're going to take our lock and we're going to place it in our leather, just like this, and we're going to place it in our bench vise right here. There you go. We don't want the bench vise to scratch that chrome. And any punch will do as long as the punch outer diameter is slimmer than the inner diameter of the pin stacks. There it is. It just fell out. Let me grab it real quick. So this is what it is. It's just a soft brass piece. That is just holding that pin stack together, keeping the pins under spring tension. And once we remove that, we're going to tap these and just add the grub screws. Honestly, without the talking, this is literally like a 5 or 10 minute process. I guess I could use a bigger hammer if I wanted to, but this is fine. It. So those are out. Now we're going to, I'm still going to be working right here in this space, but I want to tap them now. I just need to adjust this leather here a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to get the tap going a little bit dry. I can always add lubricant to the tap, it's not a big deal. So I'm just using a tri-flow, any type of oil, 3-in-1 oil, it will work just fine. I want to start with one of these colors facing me. And I'm just going to do a half turn, and I'm going to bring it back. So it, as I back out, it brings out that material that I just tapped. I'm going to do another half turn. I'm going to bring it out. So I've done one full turn, do another half turn, bring it out. Another half turn, so that's 2 full turns, bring it out. So we're back at 2 full turns, do another half turn, bring it out. Another half turn, now we're 3 full turns, bring it out. I'm going to go 3.5 total, so another half turn. And now I'm going to bring it all the way out, and we're going to test it and check the depth of that with our set screw. Which is funny because I actually left all the tools for the set screw. Thanks, man.
I brought my mine. I don't know if this is the right
Appreciate it. Thank you.
yours, but
should be. Here we go.
All right.
So we want it to go below the surface, not by much. We just need it to clear the surface. We don't want the grub screws or set screws to be sticking out or protruding, because maybe I still want to use this lock, and maybe I want to put this lock inside of a padlock body, or maybe I want to put it into a door or something like that. I don't know. I still want it to be an operating lock. I don't want to change the lock in any way that's going to keep it from functioning as a lock. So I do want it to sit just below the surface, and that 3.5 is perfect. That worked out really well. So that's what we're going to stick with. And I have a little bit of stuff here. I can just blow that off, and that seemed to work. I'm just going to add a little bit more, another drop of lubricant there. We're going to do the same thing on the next one. So just that, I'm going to go a full step, a full turn before I back out this time. Okay, so that's one full turn. I'm going to go another full turn and then back out. So that was 2. This is 2. That's 3. So we're at 3, and we're going to go 3.5. Back it out all the way. And as you back it out, obviously you want to make sure that you don't move this or anything. You want to make sure those threads are nice and clean. And another thing is, ideally, I didn't have to do it that time, but before I put this whole lock together, I have shavings in here. So I do want to use a can of air. And I can either come in from the bottom and blow it out the top, or I can come in from the top, blow it out the bottom. But we want to clean out any of those shavings from the threading. So, sorry, there's a few more steps in here that I didn't add in the beginning, but it is what it is. So we can check that. We don't really need to check that. The first one was really the only one we needed to check, but I have a good feeling that this next one is going to go in just fine. Yeah, it's perfect, and it sits just below that surface. So 3.5 is perfect. That's what we're going to do moving forward for all of these. Sometimes you get these little grub screws and they don't want to thread very well. It's just a faulty grub screw. I don't think that I've messed up any of these with the tap here. So here we go. So it's a half. That's a full turn. Back up. I didn't add any lubricant this time. I think there's enough lubricant on there. I didn't blow off any of the shavings. It'll be fine, guys. That's a half turn, full turn, back off. Half turn, full turn, back off. I think that was 3 turns. I wasn't really counting. Let's blow out the shavings.
So I've noticed you don't really have to be as careful keeping it straight up and down. It kind of centers itself.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely centers itself. I dropped there on that. Okay, there we go. I mean, you know, you can be a stickler and try to eye it and stuff, but it's just a screw. Now to put in these grub screws, counter rotate till it drops in to the thread. Yeah, it's perfect. I love it. I probably could have gone a half turn. I think I only went 3 turns that time, and it's still set flush. It's fine. I could reinsert it if I'm a stickler. And so it did that counter rotation. So we have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's what it was. 3.5. Perfect. I don't need to check it. I already know it works.
Just to keep it consistent.
Yep. Add some more lubricant to it.
What lubricant are you using?
I'm just using Tri-Flow. Same thing I use on my locks.
Okay.
Which makes sense. Okay, got the red towards me. I think only the first couple, like the first rotation, you really need to kind of make sure you're straight up and down, but it'll correct itself. So it's 1 full turn, back up. 1 full turn, back up. 1 full turn, back up. Half turn. The biggest thing that really helped me was taping these blue and red. You'd be surprised at how mixed up you get.
Yeah, I ended up buying one that's a ratchet, but I think I might actually go out and buy one that's non-ratchet just for that reason.
Good point. And some lubricant. One, 2, 3.5.
It's amazing how easy that is.
Yeah, and I'm probably making it more difficult than I need to. I'm sure somebody's like, Sandman, you should have done it like this. I know. But I did it this way. And it still worked. There's 2. There's 3. 3.5. One more. Half turn. Full turn. Back off. One full turn. Back off. Third turn. Back off. Half turn. Oh yeah. That's it. It's done. Now all we have to do is just put it together. Okay.
It'll definitely make things much easier for
Yeah, I think so.
for gutting.
So I still have my key pins in the plug. Just insert those. Let's add our plastic piece on the back just for now, in case we have any issues. Quicker to remove. There's nothing wrong with re-adding this guy, but the more times you bend this, the more it's going to get weak and it'll just deform. These are a good fit.
As long as it doesn't seem to affect the turning of the lock, it should be fine.
Pin 1. Driver pin 2. Driver pin 3. Now we can top load our lock. So this is really, I forgot to say, this is also great for progressively pinning. Duh. That's like one of the biggest benefits. 5, 6, 7. The great thing is, if I mess this up, I can always just dump it out and do it all over again, because now I have access to the top. Whoop. And in theory, I can just take my thumb, put these on top, and I can check the key and make sure that I have the pins in the right spot. Yep. So key works, not sticking or anything like that. Move that key. These all sit in just fine. Now we just add the grub screws. I've always known them to be set screws, but the Locksport community calls them grub screws. So who cares? This does not want to hold these very
Magnets
well.
dying or something?
Yeah. Do magnets die?
If you drop them, they can be demagnetized.
When I was a kid, I had a magnet that was sick, and my mom said that she sent it away to a magnet farm where he can go be with all the other magnets. Is that true?
I don't know about that. Maybe he could get recharged.
That's what she was saying. Like, he can go and live there forever, happily with all the other magnets.
I do know you can magnetize most steels and remagnetize magnets, so.
That's cool. Speaking of strong magnets, dude, we're going to use it here in a second. I have that fucking I have the Eastlands spring mine.
Spring sweeper, yeah.
Dude, I have a blister on my finger just from setting it down on another object that was magnetized. It was so strong. Here we go. They're all sitting perfectly flush. That's great. So I haven't changed anything about this lock other than I have this on here. If I want to, I can totally go back and put this on, and I never have to remove this ever again. I can just gut this from the top from now on moving forward. And that's probably what I'll do, especially now that we know that this works. So now we don't have any problems. Now we can remove this guy if I want. And we'll just go ahead and add this back. And when I open this using my little spanner here, right here, I only open it just enough to clear this plug. If I open it too far, I may have trouble trying to find some pliers that are going to be wide enough to squeeze that closed.
Yeah, I found needle nose to be the best pliers to put that back on there too. Because sometimes it'll get a little deformed and you can grab it and reshape it a little bit too, if you need to.
Mm-hmm. I think Lady Locks just did a video on how to do this. just ripped her off. Sorry, Lady Lux. There we go. And now we have my original tolerance. That's it. That's how you grub screw a assa 700.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Make my
Yabbo.
life easier.
Yeah.